Chapter 34, News of the Holy Maiden. In the Forbidden City, the triumphant Lord Taiping, who was in control of the situation, fell flat onto the floor. There was a wound in the center of his eyebrows as blood slowly flowed out. Not only him, but the martial sages of the demonic sect suffered the same fate as him. Facing Lin Jufeng's sword strike that was casually executed, they couldn't resist at all. They all died. Lin Tianyuan's martial sages immediately began their counterattack. They attacked and killed the commanders of the forbidden troops. The rebellion was controlled in an instant. Everyone looked at Lin Tianyuan in a daze. What happened? They didn't saw Lin Jufeng's sword just now. The move Lin Jufeng used was similar to a spring breeze and rain. Just like how the rain was formed by invisible water vapors, people wouldn't notice its formation. But Lin Tianyuan knew that only his uncle had the ability to execute these people so covertly. He looked at the forbidden troops. He was suddenly scared. If it wasn't for Lin Jufeng, his reign would have been overthrown. I paid too much attention to external matters and reforms. I've relaxed my control over the imperial capital. This is a harsh lesson to me. Lin Tianyuan gnashed his teeth and swallowed the bitter pill. Drop your weapons. I won't hold you all accountable. I will only punish the leaders. Lin Tianyuan took a deep breath and declared solemnly. As soon as this statement of his came out, the soldiers successively put down their weapons. They didn't dare to resist. A crisis disappeared, just like this. Lin Tianyuan looked in the direction of the cold palace. Words weren't enough to describe his gratitude. After Lord Taiping's rebellion, the imperial capital immediately strengthened its management. The other lords have been scared off by the turn of events. They didn't dare to make any move for fear of being targeted. Some people described the current Emperor Ming as a frightened tiger. When he encountered any person or beast, he would choose to kill the other party to ensure his own safety. For a while, the security in the imperial capital greatly improved. Lin Tianyuan didn't do anything to the outsiders. He first cleaned up the royal family members from the inside out. Those who committed a lot of crimes, those who colluded with the demonic sects, and those who participated in the rebellion were all killed. This time, many royal family members were executed. Heads rolled here and there, causing many people to panic. With the executions, Lin Tianyuan's majesty as the emperor in the eyes of the masses became heavier. However, Lin Tianyuan didn't care what others thought of him. After cleaning up the pests in the royal family, he came to pay respect and express his gratitude to Lin Jufeng. This was his second trip to the Cold Palace since he ascended the throne. On average, one trip to the Cold Palace every 5 years. Uncle, thank you for saving my life, Lin Tianyuan said respectfully. It's just a small matter, Lin Jufeng said calmly. This was really just a small matter to him. Uncle, with the in-depth reform of the Yuha God dynasty, and the removal of the 9 vassal lords, the pressure on the treasury has been reduced by quite a lot. Next, I plan to do something about the sects, Lin Tianyuan said solemnly. Do something against the sects of the world. Lin Jufeng raised his brows. No, I just want to eliminate the Buddhist temples in the Jiangnan area. Lin Tianyuan shook his head. In the land of mist and rain, Jiangnan, Buddhist temples prevailed. One could say that there was a temple in every 3 steps and a monastery in 5. The monks in these temples and monasteries do not do anything productive aside from accepting the people's offerings. The bodhisattva statues in the temples are shining from the gold that was used to create them, but the people outside the temples are hungry. Despite that, they still had to give their offerings and pray to the bodhisattvas for safety. This is too much, Lin Tianyuan said indignantly. Lin Jufeng remained quiet as he listened. What's worse was that ordinary people who have committed crimes are using these temples to hide by pretending that they have put down their butcher knives to become monks and eventually a Buddha. Since they now belong to the Buddhist sects, the imperial court no longer has any right to arrest them, for the imperial court has no right to interfere in the affairs of the Buddhist sects. This is why it's common for the villains to become monks in the Jiangnan area. Once they have become monks, they would then proceed to commit more crimes under the protection of the Buddhist sects. Adultery, looting, all sorts of crimes weren't a problem for them to commit. But despite all of these, in the eyes of the people, all the monks from the Buddhist sects were all kind and compassionate. This point of view makes it hard for the imperial court to handle them. These temples and monasteries must be demolished. The evil monks must be arrested. Temples and monasteries can exist, but they can't be everywhere like they are right now. Lin Tianyuan relayed his thoughts to Lin Jufeng. Lin Jufeng, who has been silently listening all this while, asked, "The Buddhist sects are still quite strong. How many martial sages do you have under your command?" 5. Lin Tianyuan said. "But I managed to recruit a few martial sages recently. They know my plan and are willing to help me. So in fact, the actual numbers are about a dozen or so martial sages." Lin Tianyuan added. Lin Jufeng instantly understood. It was because of this group of martial sages that Lin Tianyuan gained the confidence to deal with the Buddhist sects. "Since you have already decided to do this, then go do it. The temples and monasteries all over the land should indeed be demolished," Lin Jufeng said. Lin Tianyuan replied, embarrassed. "I hope that uncle can help me when necessary." "You already have a dozen martial sages under you," Lin Jufeng said. This was a very formidable group. There are 3 Buddhist sects in the Jiangnan area: Dalan Temple, Xuankang Temple, and Shaolin Temple. The Dalan Temple respects the boundaries of their territories without daring to expand their area of influence. Its believers are also bountiful, and their monks are kind. I won't target the Dalan Temple this time. As for the Xuankang Temple and the Shaolin Temple, it feels like they are competing with each other. If one expands its influence further, the other also expands. There are 80,000 temples and monasteries in the Jiangnan area alone, all of which were built by the believers of these 2 sects that used their influence to bluff the believers into building these temples and monasteries for them. This time, these 2 sects are the ones I'm targeting." Lin Tianyuan explained in detail. But the Xuankang Temple and the Shaolin Temple are both Buddhist sects that have been passed down for thousands of years. Their backgrounds are also profound, with resources enough to nurture a lot of powerhouses in their sects. Besides, they are quite far away from the imperial capital. Plus, they also have a lot of cultivators in their ranks, so they aren't afraid of the imperial court. I'm worried that these 2 sects might have 1 or 2 powerhouses that I won't be able to handle. Lin Tianyuan explained his worries to Lin Jufeng. "Do what you want without fear. If such a person really appears, I will help you handle it." Lin Jufeng thought for a while and agreed. Lin Tianyuan's reform was akin to continuing the unfulfilled wishes of Emperor Yuan. In the past, Emperor Yuan wanted to destroy the vassal lords first. Then, he was planning on destroying the monasteries and temples of the Buddhist sects in the secular world afterwards. Now that the problem of the vassal lords had been resolved and the other places of the Yuhua God dynasty were safe and sound, he wanted to target the Jiangnan area next. Lin Jufeng naturally supported him. "Thank you, uncle." Lin Tianyuan was overjoyed. Now, he was reassured of his success. Lin Jufeng was what gave him the confidence. Having received Lin Jufeng's guarantee, Lin Tianyuan's mood relaxed. He couldn't help but speak with a smile. "Uncle, I recently received a piece of news. I reckon you might be interested in it." "What news would I be interested in?" Lin Jufeng looked at him. "Uncle, do you still remember why you were sent into the cold palace in the first place?" Lin Tianyuan asked as he laughed. This question made Lin Jufeng recall his memories. At that time, he had just transmigrated and was then directly sent into the cold palace. 25 years passed in a flash. When Lin Jufeng remembered why he was locked up in the cold palace, the white cat appeared in the corner and curled up. It looked very inconspicuous, but its eyes were full of spirits. It eavesdropped. It wanted to know why Lin Jufeng was locked up in the cold palace. "Why did you bring up this matter?" Lin Jufeng asked, puzzled. "It has been 25 years since you released the Holy Maiden of the Great Yan Dynasty. Your actions back then incurred the wrath of the imperial court, and that was why you were exiled and locked up in the cold palace," Lin Tianyuan said. It's indeed because of this, then." Lin Jufeng calmly looked at Lin Tianyuan. "It's been 25 years, don't you want to know how that Holy Maiden is faring after all these years?" Lin Tianyuan asked. Lin Jufeng was dumbfounded. He never thought about this so-called holy maiden even once in the past 25 years. He thought he would never hear anything about her ever again. Lin Jufeng may have forgotten, but Lin Tianyuan's words just now sent him on a trip down the memory lane. He couldn't help but ask, "What news is it all about?" Lin Tianyuan boisterously laughed before he answered. "I knew that you wouldn't be indifferent in matters that concerned this holy maiden." The little white cat listened. Then, it narrowed its eyes slowly as it wrote 2 words on the ground with its paw. "You pervert." Chapter 35, Waiting for the Rain. Lin Jufeng looked at Lin Tianyuan indifferently. "Say what is needed to be said. Don't say anything that shouldn't be said." After Lin Tianyuan teased his uncle, he quickly realized what he had done and he immediately felt worried. In a hurry, he said, "Teacher, this holy maiden of the great Yan dynasty has rarely left her place for the past 25 years since she returned. She's responsible for the sacrificial matters in her nation. A lot of people say that she can communicate with the gods. There are countless people who are said to be able to communicate with the gods, but which one of them has any real ability?" Lin Jufeng acted nonchalantly. The image of this holy maiden had already disappeared from his mind, he totally couldn't remember what she looked like. After all, he hadn't thought of her even once in the past 25 years. How was it possible that he could still remember what she looked like? "Uncle, what you said is wrong. According to the information I have received, this holy maiden of the great Yan dynasty actually has real ability." Lin Tianyuan explained. "What ability?" Lin Jufeng asked calmly. "This holy maiden has been blessed by the gods to enlighten others. A lot of people prayed sincerely and after her enlightenment, they became powerhouses. A few martial sages have already appeared because of her. Some of these people became her dedicated guards, and they are now a force that cannot be underestimated throughout the great Yan dynasty." Lin Tianyuan explained. "Enlightening people into reaching the martial sage realm." Lin Jufeng's expression looked strange. "That's right. This is the information I've received from our spies. It's absolutely true." Lin Tianyuan nodded. To be able to enlighten others into reaching the martial sage realm, she definitely has a higher cultivation base than that of the martial sage realm. As far as I can remember, when the holy maiden was caught 25 years ago, she wasn't even at the innate realm at all and was extremely weak. But to think that she would become such a terrifying powerhouse after 25 years. Lin Jufeng shook his head. He found it hard to believe that this was true. If Lin Jufeng was asked to mentor someone into becoming a martial sage, he could do it with a bit of effort. But this was only limited to the first step of the martial sage realm, profound insight. Lin Jufeng was now at the second step of the martial sage realm, life knowing. And he was at the absolute pinnacle of this second step. He didn't even dare to waste a second in the past 5 years, yet how was it possible that the holy maiden of the great Yan dynasty could compare to him in cultivation speed? Lin Tianyuan saw that Lin Jufeng didn't believe it. However, he didn't explain any further as he just said, "I just want to inform you of this, uncle. After all, she's a person who had some relations with you before. If you don't believe my words, then pardon me, for I shall go back and deal with state affairs." Lin Jufeng watched him leave without saying anything. As for the holy maiden who was previously related to him, that time would be the last time that I'll be related to her for the rest of my life. Lin Jufeng muttered in his heat. With his character of wanting to stay in the cold palace forever, it was unlikely he would meet this so-called holy maiden ever again. After Lin Tianyuan took his leave, the white cat walked over slowly. It asked Lin Jufeng through writing, "Tell me about this holy maiden. Go practice your penmanship, that's worse than the trails of a crawling dog first." Lin Jufeng didn't pay any attention to it. The white cat looked at Lin Jufeng. It felt humiliated as it struck the ground angrily with its claws. What did he mean by worse than the trails of a crawling dog? Just look at how cute the words it has written were. Lin Tianyuan started to become busy in the preparations of dealing with the Buddhist sects, and so did the entire Yuha God dynasty. But in the cold palace, Lin Jufeng was in the middle of comprehending the third step of the martial sage realm, fish leap. He was about to make a breakthrough. I have to make a breakthrough to the third step as soon as possible. Then, I should start trying to comprehend the fourth step of the martial sage realm. My aim is to eventually make a breakthrough to the human god realm and hopefully achieve the peak of cultivation. This is what my goal should be. Lin Jufeng thought silently. If there wasn't a need for him to go out, then he wouldn't leave the cold palace at all. He had an incredibly long lifespan by now anyway. As winter passed, the ice and snow of the 12th lunar month finally melted. Spring came, and the whole world underwent a few subtle changes. In the cold palace, Lin Jufeng has been looking at the sky for the past few days. There would always be a frown on his face whenever he did so. He visited the underground palace and tapped its doors with his toes. After a while, the white cat came out and looked at Lin Jufeng, astonished. Lin Jufeng never came here to look for it before. Have you felt that there is something strange with the world in the past few days? Lin Jufeng asked. The white cat thought for a while. Then, it wrote in confusion. I didn't feel anything at all. Lin Jufeng glanced at the words. The handwriting was still as ugly as ever. Seeing that the white cat didn't notice anything wrong, Lin Jufeng turned around and left as he continued to observe the sky. Meow. The white cat called out and quickly wrote a few words. What have you discovered? Lin Jufeng stopped in his tracks. He looked at the words for a moment before saying, the spiritual energy in the world has been extremely unstable a few hours before daybreak. The spiritual energy that exists and we are able to absorb down here is still normal, but there is an abundance of spiritual energy high up in the sky as if there is a storm up above. Lin Jufeng explained what he had observed to the white cat. Ordinary martial sages wouldn't possibly notice these changes. It was only Lin Jufeng who couldn't sleep at night and whose eyes were sharp enough was able to see such a scene in the middle of the night. The white cat also looked at the sky in confusion. But it didn't notice anything. But it believed in Lin Jufeng, so it followed him as he toured around the cold palace from morning till night. But nothing of significance was discovered. At night, the white cat laid on top of the courtyard walls while Lin Jufeng stood all alone on his own. His body was agile and vigorous, and his face was still the same as it was 25 years ago. Lin Jufeng was looking at the sky. Thousands of miles high up in the sky. There was a tempest of spiritual energy. The white cat wasn't able to see this. It observed carefully, but it found nothing. As Lin Jufeng looked at the sky, he realized something in his heart as he said, the spring rain still hasn't come, right? The white cat looked at Lin Jufeng in surprise. Why did he mention this all of a sudden? Lin Jufeng wasn't a farmer. What did the spring rain have to do with him? Lin Jufeng said, tonight, there will be a heavy rain that will affect the world. The white cat looked at Lin Jufeng, bewildered. Why wasn't it able to understand what he was saying? Lin Jufeng stopped talking and returned to his room. He opened the doors and the windows as he laid on the frost jade bed. Then, he waited at ease. In a Buddhist temple, 7 or 8 old monks stood around an extremely old and shriveled monk. This spiritual energy of the world is really about to make a recovery. There will be a heavy rain tonight, and this heavy rain shall signal the arrival of a new era. The shriveled monk softly mumbled. His breathing considerably weakened, but his eyes looked bright. There seemed to be countless pictures flitting across his eyes. Holy Buddha, what else did you see? A monk asked. Shaolin Temple is about to encounter a catastrophe. Don't, the monk said these with great difficulty. But before he could finish his words, he suddenly stopped breathing and passed away. The other monks looked at the breathless Holy Buddha. Then, they looked at each other. Let's wait and see what will happen. The Holy Buddha used his life to spy on the future and remind us that the Shaolin Temple must withstand this catastrophe, an upright monk said solemnly. Yes, the Holy Buddha said don't be afraid before he died. Shaolin managed to remain standing for 1,000 years because of our unity, the head of the Dhammo Hall said firmly. Afterwards, they made arrangements for the corpse of the Holy Buddha as they waited for the heavy rain that was due to come tonight. Great Yan Dynasty. It was a small country located in a huge mountain range and that had many legends surrounding it. Unlike the Central Plains, there was an exotic atmosphere here. Temple of the Holy Maiden. This was the most important temple in the Great Yan dynasty. The masses referred to the Holy Maiden as the daughter of the gods, and countless people worshipped her as one. In the main hall of the Holy Maiden Temple, there was only one woman inside. She wore a red dress that easily swayed side to side, her beautiful face had a strong exotic feel to it, and her every move was captivating. However, she didn't do anything to produce such an effect. This natural captivating effect that she had made countless men fall for her. But in the 25 years since her return, no man had ever gotten close to her. Tonight, she looked at the sky and whispered, "This world is going to change. My opportunity is coming." She was also waiting for this rain. Chapter 36. Lie on bed at night, listen to the rain and break through. Everyone was waiting for the rain. In the imperial capital, there was Lin Jufeng. In the Great Yan dynasty, there was the Holy Maiden. In the Jiangnan area, there were the monks from Shaolin Temple. In other places, many people came to know about the arrival of this rain through various means. In the courtyard of the Cold Palace, Lin Jufeng was calculating the time. In the wee hours, the rain should arrive on time. Since I transmigrated here, the spirit energy has been slowly recovering, but this recovery is subtle and very slow. After 25 years, the spirit energy has only increased a little. Lin Jufeng thought silently. This was why all of those who managed to reach the martial sage realm became stuck in the first step of the martial sage realm, profound insight. Even Lin Jufeng wasn't spared, he had been stuck for 5 years in the profound insight step. It was only when he took a trip to the Northwest Plains and executed that sword move did he manage to make a breakthrough to life knowing. Now, he was stuck in the life knowing step. It was obvious how slow the recovery of the world's spiritual energy was. The recovery was so slow that even the world itself started to become anxious. From the beginning of the previous winter until the spring of this year, the world itself was anxious all this time. Ordinary people couldn't see it because they didn't have the ability to sense it. Only a powerful martial sage noticed it. When the preparations were finally done, the world itself managed to gather a huge amount of spiritual energy that it would spill onto the world by tonight. Lin Jufeng was waiting for this rain. The white cat was lying close to the window. It wasn't really aware of what was happening, but since Lin Jufeng said it would rain tonight, it chose to accompany him and waited for the rain with him. Night descended, and the stars tonight were very bright. The moonlight was also extra resplendent and radiant. Like the moon on the 15th of the Chinese lunar month 1. The white cat looked at Lin Jufeng in confusion. Would it rain? Lin Jufeng closed his eyes. He adjusted his body and adjusted his state to the peak. When the rain arrived, he would be able to make a breakthrough to the next stage. Time slowly passed minute by minute. At midnight, the moon crossed the galaxy, and the timing was in the wee hours. Boom! At this moment, thunderclap reverberated throughout the entire world one after another, as if a god was raging and roaring at the world. The sound of thunder echoed between heaven and earth. Tick, tick, tick. Rain dropped down and landed on the eaves. The white cat looked at this in surprise. It actually rained. It couldn't help but stick its head out, wanting to take a look. Schwash! But in the very next second, the rainstorm came and the raindrops fell onto its face. Caught off guard, its fur got wet. The white cat hurriedly retracted its head and shook its head to shake off the rainwater. But as it was shaking its head, it stiffened all of a sudden. Why was there such a dense and large amount of spiritual energy in the rainwater? This amount of spiritual energy was so large that it couldn't believe it. The white cat couldn't help but look at Lin Jufeng. Lin Jufeng was already in a cultivation state. As rainwater fell, it carried with it dense amounts of spiritual energy. Howling gales blew the spiritual energy all over the mortal realm. This world was being nourished. This was the gift of heaven and earth to the world. Lin Jufeng had already started absorbing the spiritual energy in the air, his body entered a deep state of cultivation. Rumble. Outside were lightning and thunder, rain and wind. Inside the house, Lin Jufeng was lying on the bed while listening to the rain and breaking through to the next step. The white cat learned from him. It knew that Lin Jufeng was smarter, so it learned from Lin Jufeng and started to cultivate too. It also wanted to become stronger. It wanted to defeat Lin Jufeng and step on him with its paws. It wanted to show off its power and might. The white cat was already planning its revenge against Lin Jufeng for constantly calling the words it wrote ugly. Tonight, countless cultivators were surprised to discover that the concentration of spiritual energy in the world was increasing by leaps and bounds. 50 times. 100 times. Even hundreds of times. Some people took in a breath of the spiritual energy and they immediately became bloated as they yelled in surprise. There were some old people that were on the verge of death. They were ambitious, but their bodies weren't capable enough for them to fulfill their ambitions anymore. Each of them had already come to terms regarding their deaths, and they were peaceful. But the spiritual energy brought by this rain moisturized their dried bodies. They were rejuvenated. They directly broke through their shackles. They directly broke through the restrictions on their cultivation base and gained a new lease in life. These old people were reduced to tears. Some old people even yelled, "I really want to live another 500 years." The old seniors that had constantly lived in seclusion for hundreds of years in their various sects and families crawled out of their coffins one after another. This is a totally different world now. This is a world of great competition. I want to try to leave a legend in this world again. It was passed down since ancient times that the world's energies would recover and the world will return to its previous glorious state 1500 years ago. Now, I have successfully waited for its arrival. It's not in vain that I sealed myself for 500 years. I can look at this brand new world with my eyes. For the next 500 years, this world shall worship me as their master. Different old people said different things, but without exception, their cultivation bases were all very high. Tonight, their bodies were rejuvenated. Then, they directly broke through to the martial sage realm. And some even continued to climb higher. Great Yan Dynasty, Temple of the Holy Maiden. The Holy Maiden was also currently absorbing the spiritual energy in the air. She couldn't help but comment in satisfaction. It's indeed a new world now. This is only the beginning and the amount of spiritual energy is already so huge. From now on, this world will be very exciting. Although I came into this world quite a number of years earlier, I still managed to establish a foundation in this world. Then, she began to cultivate. As lighting flitted across the skies above her, her cultivation base broke through to the martial sage realm. But she didn't stop there as her breakthrough continued. Imperial capital. The powerhouses of the royal family were also frantically absorbing the spiritual energy in the air, including Lin Tianyuan, who suddenly discovered that he now had a hope of breaking through to the martial sage realm. How could he possibly let go of this opportunity and stop cultivating? Tonight, no one fought against each other. There were no quarrels, nor was there anyone that rested. Tonight, everybody cultivated in unison. And they achieved breakthroughs in their cultivation in unison. In the cold palace, the white cat's body shone in a fluorescent light. Deep within this light were traces of energies that it had absorbed back when it consumed those treasures in the underground palace. It was completely reborn. As for Lin Jufeng, there wasn't any phenomenon on him. If becoming ordinary was a phenomenon, then indeed he has one phenomenon on him. Alone on the frost jade bed, listening to the rain as he made a breakthrough in his cultivation base. This was Lin Jufeng's current state. The energies that he had accumulated after cultivating for more than 20 years, coupled with the 2 demonic cultivation techniques that he was simultaneously cultivating, plus a few sword techniques, and countless other techniques he obtained from signing in. All of these combined caused him to crazily break through at this moment. As his techniques and his insights into them collided and merged with each other, Lin Jufeng suddenly opened his eyes. He seemed to be able to see a fish happily swimming within the water droplets in the rain. In an instant, he reached the fish leap step of the martial sage realm. Next was the great sage step, which was also the final step of the martial sage realm. Lin Jufeng smiled slightly. This wasn't a problem for him anymore. With the help of the demonic great refinement and the ancient demonic book, breaking through wasn't a problem to him anymore. Only a night passed, yet the world has changed dramatically. Countless cultivators made their own breakthroughs into their next realms. Even for the common people, the abundant spiritual energy in the world has healed their old illnesses and injuries. The seriously ill old people recovered their health. The dying were also redeemed. The children became more intelligent. All in all, a new era has officially arrived. So in order to cope with the arrival of the new era, the first thing Lin Tianyuan did was to come and look for Lin Jufeng. He knew that in this new era, the absolute strength of every individual would be greatly strengthened, and although it couldn't be said that martial sages could now be found everywhere, they were no longer that rare. Therefore, should he still carry out his plan? Lin Tianyuan needed Lin Jufeng's guidance. But Lin Jufeng didn't come out to see him. Lin Jufeng was still working hard in his cultivation at this moment, so he didn't have the time to see anyone. Everything will proceed as per normal, but you need to work harder in cultivating talents. Lin Jufeng only gave Lin Tianyuan these words, but the door to the cold palace remained closed.